Let's solve quadratic equations using quadratic formula. So as you know, the quadratic equation, the standard form, ax square plus bx plus c, you can see where a, b and c are the coefficients of x square, x and the constant term respectively. So only the numerical values which are multiplied by x square is a, which is multiplied by x is b, and which is without x, that is called c, the constant value. Okay, so here is the quadratic formula. You can see x equals to negative b square root plus minus square root b square minus 4ac over 2a. I have written in this two different formats. For example, when you say plus and minus, it means there are two possible answers. So negative b, one is with plus and one is with minus. So this is the first value and this is the second value you are going to get when you solve quadratic equation. Okay, so let's list down the steps what you have to do when you solve quadratic equations. Okay, so the first thing what you need to do, you need to identify what are the values of a, b and c from the given equation, and then make sure on the right hand side it has to be 0. Okay, then only your ABC will be counted. Next step you have to do, figure out what is the value of b square minus 4ac, because that's what we are going to substitute in this square root form. Okay, so look at this square root of b square minus 4ac. So if you separately calculate this, then you can substitute easily. Third step, use the formula. Okay, so use the formula, I mean to say just substitute the values directly in the formula, but you should get two values, one with plus, one with minus. Let's take some examples. Okay, so let's take first example here. I'll keep the standard form here with you. So if I say my first equation is 3x square plus 12x plus 9 equals to 0. So from this particular equation, first thing I should get what are a, b and c. So the first value of a is 3, b is 12, c is 9. Make sure you take all the signs which are just in the front of these numbers. So if they are positive, we don't need to write, but if they are negative, please consider. So this was my a, this was my b, positive 12, and this is my c. Okay, so that's what you can see here very clearly, a, b and c. As I told you, what you should do, find out what is b square minus 4ac. Okay, of course you can use calculator here. And what is b square? So 12 square minus 4 times a is 3 times c is 9. So 12 square means 12 times 12 is 144, minus 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 9 is 108. Okay, so 144 minus 108 is basically 36. Now the last step basically. So in the last step, what you have to do, substitute all the values in the formula. You can see here the first value you have to put here and the second is here. So let's do first value. So x is negative b. So negative b, you can see b is 12. So we are going to take b as 12 plus square root of b square minus 4ac, which is I have 36 over 2 times a. A is already 3. Okay, so let's simplify this. Negative 12 plus square root of 36 is 6 over 6. So your answer will be negative 6 over 6, which is 1, negative 1, sorry. So you got your first answer, which is negative 1. In the same way, we can find out the second value of x. In the second value, you can see it's minus. Only because of minus you have to find out second answer. Everything is same. So what we are going to do, negative 12, negative 6 over 6. Okay, so negative 18 over 6, which is negative 3. So guys, in this way you got two values of x for this particular equation. So 3x squared plus 12x plus 9 has two values of x, and which are -1 and -3. Okay, now special note for you. Number one, first of all, be sure that this answer 36, b square minus 4ac, is positive or 0. Okay, or 0. Because if it is negative, and when you substitute here in the square root, so the square root of negative number is not a real number. So we cannot find a real number of negative square root. So don't solve that question. So just leave it and write down no solution. So for example, if you get b square minus 4ac as negative 36, so you can say no solution. Okay, and you don't need to solve this. You have to solve quadratic formula only if you got b square minus 4ac is positive or 0. Let's take another example. So second example I have with you, 2x square negative 5x and negative 3. Now I have taken some values negative as well. So the first step, if you remember, get a and b and c. So a is 2, so a is 2, b is negative 5, c is negative 3. Okay, so the next step, evaluate what is b square minus 4ac. Be careful when the values are negative. So make sure you are substituting these values correctly. First you have to use b here and then a and c respectively. So what is b? Is negative 5 square minus 4 times a times c. Okay, so this is 25, and negative positive because we are multiplying two negative numbers. So we can say plus here. 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 3 is 24, and the sum is 49. Okay, and as we discussed, if the values are positive and negatives, positive or 0, then only we can solve. If the negative, then you don't need to solve this. So in this case we are going to solve this. Okay, so you got 49. Now you have to substitute in the formula. So the formula says negative b plus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. So negative of negative 5, okay, plus square root of 49 over 2 times 2. Now make sure this value is here. Therefore I am directly substituting. Okay, and this b is again we are going to use here. Therefore make sure you are substituting correctly and then evaluating. Of course, if you have calculator, you can do directly. So 5 plus 7 over 4. So 12 over 4 is 3. Okay, and the second value, if this was x1, so you can say x2 is my second answer, and in the second answer I need to change this plus into minus. So minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. So very simple. 5 minus 7 over 4. So negative 2 over 4, which is negative half. So for these two equations, we got x1 and x2, two different values. So I'm going to write here your equation. So 2x square negative 5x negative 3 equals to 0 has two solutions, which are x1 is positive 3 and x2 is negative half. Okay, so that's how you have to solve. Fine, practice with more equations.